What's going on, guys? Your boy, Coach Anthony. Of course, we got none other than Fast Eddie Chambers, and we just wanted to go ahead and remind you I am offering every single course on my website that we already dropped up to date, which is 15 courses. And actually, I'm going to give you guys an extra course that we just made named Drillers Make Killers that isn't even released to the public yet. If you go ahead and grab the Master Boxing Bundle at 90% off, Eddie, 90% off. And not only that, I'm going to give you guys a free coaching call so we can go ahead and discuss what your personal goals are, what you're trying to accomplish through boxing, and how I can help you further in the future. Over the years, I've made courses like Build You from the Ground Up 1.0, Build You from the Ground Up 2.0, footwork drills, defensive principles 101, how to set traps and counterpunch, angles and how to create them, 50 combos to the head, 50 combos to the body, 50 head body combinations, how to box on the inside, how to box from the outside, how to box the opposite stance, which is basically orthodox versus southpaw, the complete Philly shell system, how to shadow box, heavy bag conditioning drills, and of course, like I mentioned before, the last course that isn't even released yet, Drillers Make Killers. Guys, this is a steal. I've sold these courses at $300 a pop, and many have purchased them in the past. And now you guys can get all of them at one time for 90% off with a coaching call. Guys, this is an opportunity. Do not miss it. Go ahead. Go to the website. Don't hesitate. You've been watching us on YouTube for years. We're here to help you. We want to take your boxing to the next level. Let's go. Man, what a journey, man. It's been, this is the last episode of 2022's No Days Off November, man. You know, it's been a hell of a month, you know what I mean? And I just got to say, man, I want to say thank you to everybody who's rocked out with us for the last, I don't know, 30 days, I guess, you know what I mean? And everybody who supported by grabbing the courses, taking advantage of the 90% sale that we have. And of course, it's still going, guys. Go to CoachAnthonyBoxing.com. You can go ahead and get the Master Boxing Bundle at 90% off. And if you pay close attention, for those of you guys who don't want to grab the Master Boxing Bundle, for those of you guys who, you know, say to yourselves, you know, I'm not sure, I just want to start off with a course. Well, we got courses on there at just $79. You're still saving $221. So if you just want to grab one, you can always do that as well, man. And of course, if you want to talk to me personally, talk about your goals, and really take it to the next level, the coaching call, the Master Boxing Bundle is the way to go. And today's episode is going to be a dope one, man. We're going to talk about how boxing has made our life better, man. You know, I think everybody who's in this chat has to agree that boxing has made their life better in one way or another. And who else better to talk about boxing with than the one and only Fast Eddie Chambers, man.
There it is.
There we go. We got
It was
Eddie.
on point.
Hold on, Eddie. Hold up. Come on, man. Do it on time. It's gonna do it when it wants to, right? It's gonna be in the middle of a sentence. I already know. But
Yeah.
I knew it. I was just waiting on it. There you go. The one and
There it
only
is.
Chambers. Eddie, man, it's been 30 days straight. No days off November. You've been on a few of these episodes.
Yes,
Spitting
sir.
a lot of game, man. Like I was going
Yeah.
through some of the episodes recently, like the one that we did the other day, and just a lot of jewels were given this no days off November, definitely in my opinion top last year's.
Yeah.
But I think people slept on it a little bit. I think people, they're still sleeping on no days off November. I don't really know why. It's like, you know what I mean? I don't get it. But man, I gotta tell you, Eddie, boxing, man. We gotta talk about boxing, man. Eddie,
Yeah.
you know, you've been boxing for going on what, 2 decades and a half?
Yeah. 2.5 decades, maybe a little
Two and
more
a half
than that, maybe.
decades, and you've had, you know, your ups and your downs, and but let's talk positive about boxing today. You know what I mean? Let's talk about the positive side of boxing, man. You know, because boxing has, you know, saved my life in a lot of ways. You know, at the age of like 15, 16, I was already getting into trouble. You know what I mean? Growing up in New York City, uh, influenced by my peers. You know what I mean? I was already getting caught up, the typical inner city kid doing the dumb stuff. And then I found boxing. And it's just like boxing gave me something, right? Boxing kind of gave me something to work towards. It was still aligned with my personality, which was, throwing punches and wanting to get better at, beating
Yeah.
people up, right? Like there was like in a way it was still aligned with the negative part of my life, but then it turned into a positive because before you knew it, I didn't want to do the stuff that I was doing. I wanted to go to the gym the next day. I wanted to compete in the ring, no longer fight outside the ring. It gave me an identity. When people knew me, they would be like, oh, that's the boxer. It kind of gave me something to like look at myself as, more than just the typical street kid who just wanted to, get into trouble or whatever. Eddie, talk to me a little bit about you as a kid who really got deep in the boxing as a competitor, how it helped you in life, we ain't gonna say nothing, we ain't gonna talk about none of the negatives today, only the positive. How has boxing helped you in life?
Honestly, man, it gave me the confidence that I so sorely needed. You know what I mean? I honestly always loved. I liked sports early on, but was drawn to boxing through my dad, and my dad was real hard on me. But his main goal, especially in to get was to get me into boxing, was about confidence because he just saw how I dealt with people on a day to day. I was always the butt of the joke. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily getting bullied a lot, but I mean, of course, I did suffer through that. But it was like an opportunity to do something that not many people could do. And coming from a kid who was a pretty good athlete, well coordinated, could move, could run, but never had the belief in enough in myself. When I played football, I played football. When I started I played football not as confident as I should have. When I had opportunities to be a better player, I didn't really ascend to that in football for whatever reason. I wanted to play basketball, but my dad saw that coming. He was like, "Nah, you ain't gonna play basketball. You're not going to any other sport except boxing." And boxing was what really put me to where now the focus is on me. With sports, those team sports, the focus is kind of multivariate, more than one person. So even if you are the most successful person on your team, it's still a team. You understand what I'm saying? Whereas boxing is more centered around you. And I didn't think I would succeed in a format like that because I didn't really believe enough in myself. But my dad saw the athleticism, he saw the ability. He knew that he can affect change in my life best through boxing. And for me, obviously I needed that. My mother wasn't really, around early on, though she came through later. She was really young when I was born. Um, so he had complete control. You know what I mean? He didn't have any outside entities saying, "Hey, you need to do this with your son. You need to do that." I didn't have the soft side. You know what I mean? I didn't have that soft side, coming over me to, comforting me when he yelled at me or whatever, not letting him beat my ass when I needed it. You know what I'm saying? So, but what he did was he instilled that real solid foundation of masculinity and as a man. You know what I mean? And at first I didn't have the confidence, but then once I got to that point, once I got to, experience boxing and see how good I actually was, and I started to win, I was like, damn, I guess I am kind of good at this thing. And I honestly, I didn't want to do it when I first started.
So let me ask you a question, Eddie, because you're very soft personality, right? Like people
Yeah,
may sleep on you. People may
a lot.
people still feel comfortable cracking jokes on you.
I like that. I don't mind that.
That's what I'm saying. Like people will crack jokes on you, and typically people only do that with people who they know are lighthearted. Like they know like
Hmm.
you're not gonna spaz out and knock them out, right? Even though you have the
Right.
capability to, for a lot of people. Now, let me ask you a question. Like you being that soft personality guy, and then going into like Philly and places like Philadelphia that were, it's a tough city. And
Hmm.
for you being a good boxer at this point, like what goes through your head, right? Like when you were around those real tough city dudes that could fight, but you being like this playful, lighthearted guy, but you could fight. Like what goes through your brain? Like I'm just trying to figure you out because it's like you're not necessarily the guy to try to like match the bravado. So, but
Right.
in the ring though, you handle yourself. So like, like I don't like talk to me a little bit about the intimidation, how you handled it, shit like that.
Well, see, the thing is, see, intimidation for me was my dad when I was young. You know what I mean? I know I attribute a lot to him because I spent a lot of time around him and I learned a lot from him. So that was real intimidation for me. So when I got to, be around regular people and other people, especially after boxing, there's nothing that they could do that could really scare me or intimidate or make me feel inferior because I know, that I can not only handle myself, but, I don't even need to tap into it. Most real gangsters, most real like dangerous folks don't try to wear that shit on their sleeve. They try to hide it because they don't want people to, only associate them with that. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been a cool dude. I've never been a real fighter. Like when I say real fight, that's kind of stupid to say, but I never been like a real like a dude looking for that. Like listen, if I can get out of a fight by just walking away, I'm doing that first. You know what I mean? I'm more of a thinker than I am a reactor in that kind of a situation. So I'll have to sit back and think, I'll weigh the options and then move on. But um, yeah, it's just when I see guys like that coming around, and most of the time I get along with those kind of guys, like the real gangster dudes, the real tough dudes, the ones that do stuff like that really can do shit, like the real athletes. Sometimes they're MMA fighters, sometimes they're just good athletes in general. They can handle themselves in the street. I never have issues with them. It's always like a cool respect thing with them. You
And
know
it,
what I mean?
and I think you could thank boxing for that because
Facts.
boxing gave
Yeah.
you that, like it gave you that foundation, right? Because like one of them street
Hmm.
dudes might have seen you perform and they're like, yo, dude's nice. And then when they get to
Hmm.
know you, you're like cool as hell. And then they're
Yeah,
like,
and they like
"Damn, like this cool motherfucker could fight. Like I like him even more now. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
that's
like,
what it always is. Yep.
you know what I mean? Because it's like he could whoop my ass, but he ain't even acting like he could, and I'm the, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's something that's beautiful about boxing, that it really does give you that that it just gives you that solid foundation. You know what I mean? That I
Right.
think a lot of young men need. Especially in this
Facts.
day and age, man. You got a lot of young kids out there. They're just playing video games and they're not really learning how to defend themselves. And even some of the older, kids and guys and men too, even men. You know what I'm saying? They act tough, but they got nothing to back it up. And then something goes down and they get exposed. Next thing you know, they're getting reposted on, on Instagram
Yeah.
like
Oh, I've
every
seen
other
that.
day. You know what I mean? So it's like people really underestimate how boxing could positively change your life, man. For the people in the chat, I want to know how boxing has helped some of you guys, man. Oh, of course, we got Gary Groover. Positive Eddie is still in the back. Here we go. Here we
I
go.
don't have a ceiling fan in my bathroom, local.
We got Steve Upshadenga. You got them headphones on. Thank you, Coach Ant. Your voice. Yeah.
You don't like my red headphones, man? That's for Steve right there.
And my man Eddie, boxing is therapeutic, help release stress, anger, fear toward physical exertion. Punching a bag burns up the negative emotions we trapped in our hearts and our minds, gives us peace of mind. Look at that, man. Very,
Yeah,
very
100%.
answer. My man Zero, yeah, boxing is zen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We got, boxing is definitely one of those sports, man, that I'm just so passionate about, Eddie. I'm so passionate about teaching, man. That's why it's like we got on here every single day this month and really try to connect with everybody, really try to talk to everybody, and teach them from my own experiences, man. So I don't know, man. It's been a long month, Eddie. It's been a long month, man. It's been a
It
long day.
has.
You know what I
A
mean?
good month, though.
Yeah. Now, I know you were getting ready to do something this weekend. I don't know if it's gonna happen anymore, right? You were getting ready to.
Yeah, this is up in the air. It's a few different things. I don't want to talk too much, publicly about business, but in that regard. But the reality of it is, certain things may seem a certain way, and they don't always work out perfectly. But this is just a minor setback, if it's a setback at all, and we'll go from here, and I'll be in there real soon, if
Yeah,
not this weekend.
yeah, definitely, man. My man Zero said boxing changed my life. How did boxing change your life, Zero?
Yeah, it changed mine. It damn sure changed mine.
Yeah, you
You know
got.
what I mean?
Yeah, where do you think you would be today if you never fought, if you never boxed, other than a
I mean,
basketball court?
listen, if I never had boxing, honestly, I would have been playing basketball. There's no doubt about it. Because at some point I was introduced to it. I would have been completely fully soaked in it. But see, the thing is, I needed my dad. You know what I mean? A lot of people can't say, well, no, they should say that, but they don't know that they needed it. I knew I needed it because I seen it and how it shaped my life. Even if my dad wasn't a boxing guy, if he was some other sport, or if he just said, "I'm gonna support everything you do, but be the same way," oh no, I would have definitely been playing somewhere professionally. He would have saw to it. That's just the way he was. He knew what he had here with me as an athlete in general. He knew that I could do whatever it is he would put me into if I really focused on it hard enough and really put the time in. But he could only affect boxing because that's what his game was. You understand? But if I didn't have boxing, I would have been, especially if my pop was there and was gonna push me, well, I would have been playing professional basketball somewhere. Maybe not in the NBA. You know what I mean? Shit, maybe not super high level overseas, but I would have been somewhere playing professional basketball because the work ethic that was instilled in me. Plus, I loved it. I fucking loved it. Every moment of it. You know what I mean? Even now, even making mistakes and doing the wrong thing, just having an opportunity to play is a gift. And I pay to play, not get paid to play. So that tells you something right there about that. But I would definitely be doing something along the line of playing ball. But boxing took me a different route, and thank goodness.
Kyle Turner said boxing has helped me build the confidence I lost a long time ago, man. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Hmm.
People lose their confidence due to life experiences, and boxing is definitely one of those things that just gives you that little slight edge. It lets because the training itself is a test, and every day when you test yourself, man, through the boxing workout and the regimen. Like, matter of fact, I was hitting the heavy bag today, Eddie, and
Hmm.
I don't hit the heavy bag no more. Like, so hitting the heavy bag is difficult for me compared to what it used to be, man. Like, I feel it everywhere. I feel it in my wrist stuff. I'm like, damn, man. Like, hitting the heavy bag is no longer like, you know what I mean, just a easy situation. Pushing through the rounds was a little harder than I remember it being, and
Yeah.
it just reminds me, like, I got to do this more. I got to do this more often. You know what I mean? But
What you was talking about?
what's crazy was I was hitting the heavy bag with, somebody else, and they were doing far less than me, and I can see that they were getting gassed. So even though I'm being hard on myself due to the fact it's challenging for me, I'm doing twice or three times the amount of the work that somebody else is doing. So had I not been boxing all these years, you know what I mean? You don't really know how boxing really conditions you, that even when you're out of shape as a boxer, you're still like mentally stronger to push through those hard situations compared to the guy who never boxed before. You know what I mean?
That's true. That is 100% true, and that's the same thing. It's like
We're
if
comparing
you,
ourselves to the old version of our old self, or we're comparing ourselves to the guy who's in shape boxing, and then
right,
that's when it can become discouraging. Like, you know,
right,
but it's like,
right,
who are you comparing yourself to? A guy who does it every day, or when you used to do it every day? It's no
right,
comparison, really.
right. At this point, yeah, man, you have to look at you have to look at it as how you are at this day, at this point in time in your life. That doesn't mean that you're less. I mean, you're just not as athletic. You're not as capable as you may have been at one point. Some of the young guys you'll see, like, damn, he's good, man. I used to be that good. You know what I mean? But I can't get it right now. Just, it doesn't mean you may not ever get back there, but you can work toward it. And then it doesn't mean that you won't. You'd be surprised. I mean, I'm dreaming here, but maybe this last run of mine might be the time that I actually crack the belt thing. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm able to pull one home. Who knows? You know what I mean? I had the continental things, but I've never had a world. And you know, at 40 years old, wow, would I be able to do something that I've never done before at this old age and pull one in? You never know.
Steve talking about your pops. We both needed him, bro. He shaped our lives no matter what anybody say. He was a big part of what made us.
That's the facts. I mean, you know, there were times obviously that we did not see eye to eye. There was a lot of times where my brother didn't see eye to eye with him, but at the same time, if it wasn't for him, we would not have been in the position that we were in. So even if everything wasn't peaches and cream and it was difficult,
Now, check that out though.
you know what I mean?
This is the thing about good coaches, right? And good coaches aren't always the most pleasurable people to be around, right? Like people always confuse nice with good. You know, people always confuse that. You know what I mean? Sometimes the coach's job isn't to be nice. Sometimes your parents' job isn't to be nice. Sometimes it's for them to be tough on you and let you know that you're not pushing to your limits. And this is where mentors come in, even business mentors, right? Like if you're a business owner, a gym owner, let's just use gym as an example, and you're running the gym a certain way and you think you're doing a good enough job, but then a good mentor comes in. It's like, man, no, we got to do this. We got to market here. We got and forces you to do the uncomfortable work that you don't want to do. But now your business grows and now you become a better businessman over time. And boxing's the same exact thing. It's like, somebody's got to push you to push you to your limits and let you know like where you're messing up, what you're doing wrong. We got to correct it, whether it hurts your feelings or not. You might have just did something and think you look good, and then your coach is like, "Yo, what the hell was that?" No, stop. No, and then now the kid.
That was him.
Listen, I've embarrassed a few people like that, and I've actually lost some people over the years because of that. But it was with good intent. Like I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings. I was like trying to tell you what you could do better. And the ones who stuck around and went through the process, they got better than the other ones who quit.
Obviously did.
That's boxing wasn't for them or whatever the case may be. But sometimes you need that person to be tough on you. You know what I mean? Not all the time. Sometimes it can become excessive, but that's what you need. Sometimes you need to kick an ass to let you know, yo, wake the fuck up. You know what I mean?
To say the least. And both of us got the kick in the ass constantly. This is something that I've never had the opportunity to have really. I've never had yes men around me. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's right. That's right, G. But I've never had a bunch of yes men around me, really. I haven't. Everybody has always felt free to tell me the truth. What they believe that I needed to do. Even in the time where maybe they shouldn't have said it. I still like the fact that people around me were really honest and who they were supposed to be. Like Steve was probably, with me more than 90%, 99.9% of people. Only my dad was probably there more, once we got to a certain point in my career. So, we saw that we came up together, and we saw it. Most of the people around me wasn't saying like, "Oh yeah, champ, you the greatest." Nah. They was like, "Yeah, you good, but you could be doing better." You know what I mean? This is what you could do better. I had a lot of guys around me, regardless of whether they all meant well at that time, but I always had the real coming to me. Nobody was coming to me with that old rah-rah bull crap. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it was hard for me to tell if I did good or not, in the corner after the fight. My pop would be telling me, "Oh, you ain't this, you ain't that." And then I used to look at my guy Vinny or Steve, and I'd be like, "Damn, did I do good?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, you did good." I'm like, "All right, cool." So now I know it was cool. You know what I mean? But he would almost never tell me that I did good. There's so many fights that I thought I got my ass whooped and I won. I'm in there. I'm like, man, I thought I was beating the hell out of this guy. And I come back to the corner and I'm about to get slapped in the face. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? But that's that honest.
He knew what you could do, and he felt that you weren't doing it. And some people need that kind of coaching, though. That's another thing, Eddie. What I've learned is not everybody should be coached the same way. Some people need to be encouraged. Some people need to be yelled at. There's no one size fits all. Like that's why, for instance, like people always ask me, like, "Hey, man, what should I do? This, and this." And I'm like, listen, sometimes I have to see it. I have to get to know you. I have to know who you are before I can give you a protocol. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's not a cookie cutter approach, right? Like everybody doesn't necessarily do the same things or have the same personality traits, and it takes time for a coach to read a fighter and a fighter to and a coach to really mesh. You know what I mean? Sometimes it happens instantly. For a lot of times, it takes a little bit of time because you got to get to know each other, man. It's a relationship, right? Like you got to get to know each other.
That's
And
a fact.
who knew you better than your father? Your father known you since you was a kid, so he knew how to deal with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what? He molded me and shaped me into the person that I am. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have 100% the same personality, but there were things that there were similarities, enough similarities that he saw the soft side that there was probably there. And he was like, man, I'm burying that shit. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not soft. I'm a nice guy, but you'll never see me overly emotional in any way, really, with the exception of getting angry every once in a while. Like if I'm playing a video game or I'm in the car, I get a little crazy. You know what I mean? But you'll never see me, with my emotions too high up or too low or anything. I'm really under control emotionally, and I think a lot of that was due to him. He got me to a point where I could take criticism from anybody, constructive or not. Like if people want to, man, you know what, the youngins are well, not the youngins, they're my age, but the kids around me when I was young, they poke fun. Like if you ain't have a lot of money and you got the your shoes got holes in them or whatever the situation was, they laugh at you. You know what I mean? That was training too. That was preparing me to be able to deal with those kind of things. You know what I mean? As you get older. So
That's
when you get older,
That's why when people talk about like homeschooling and all that stuff, and it's just like, man,
yeah,
you need to go to
nah,
school because it
you got
ain't
to deal with it.
it ain't just about the lessons you learn in school from the teachers. It's the lessons you learn from dealing with people, dealing with
Yes,
bullies, dealing with
yes,
you know, the opposite sex, learning how to deal with
yes.
everything. Like you have to learn all these skills, and you can only learn that by dealing with
With
people.
people.
And then with boxing, it's even deeper because it's like you're actually engaging in physical altercation, even though it's controlled, and you have to learn how to deal with all those bottled up emotions of
Yep.
frustration, fear, anger when you're getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Self doubt. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Insecurities, and you have to learn how to build through these things. And boxing, man, boxing teaches you so many different life lessons. I tell people all the time, been saying it throughout the whole journey of the No Days Off November, that the only lesson you learn through boxing is how to fight. You missed the lesson.
That's right.
And,
That
and,
is that.
and
You ain't said nothing more true than that. And that
yeah,
is a fact.
yeah, there's so much more stuff to learn. Boxing is very similar to like a martial art, except we're not
Hmm.
traditional like martial artists, right? We don't do
Hmm.
all the traditional stuff and whatever. Our culture is a little bit more urbanized, so we do things our way, but it's very similar in the sense of the things that you have to go through, mentally and emotionally and spiritually to really
Hmm.
be successful in this, whether you're a fighter or not.
That's a fact. And like you said, it's not traditional in the. It's not like you're sitting on the floor with your feet with your legs crossed and your hands together in a praying type. No, but there's still like the one guy said, there's a zen to it too. It's like it's like there's a meditation. Like there's different kinds of meditation. I mean, this could be, just hitting the bag. You get in your zone where you don't see nothing, but you in the bag, or you visualizing that guy you're fighting when you're shadow boxing, or when you jump rope, you got your headphones on or whatever. Those are the same, those are forms of it. It's the same thing. It's how you get into your comfort zone, your relaxed period. You know what I mean? It's like when you get ready to go into a fight, you got to find that. You know what I mean? So you hit your flow state. And if you hit your flow state, man, you're gonna perform better than you ever did before. And sometimes it's hard for people to get there. I've only experienced a few times, that I can remember. Um, but it's like
You've
if
been
you
there
can do it, huh?
you've been there more than a few times.
I mean, I didn't
I think
know know.
I think if you're a professional fighter and you're fighting, you know, I think once you're in a professional fight and you get past like that second round or first round, you're
It's a
hitting your.
good point.
I think you
That's a
automatically
good
go
point.
into your flow state. You know what I mean? Because it's like even in amateur boxing, me, I think you hit that. You know what I'm saying? You're not in it
Yeah,
very long. I mean, the professional you get a chance to stay in it longer, but
yeah,
I think you hit that flow state, man. Once you're in that groove where you just feel like
yeah.
you could just do whatever you want, you're there. You know what I mean?
You, you got me thinking. I remember there was fights that my dad said he had to.
It's 0 hours.
He had to keep me on the stool. Like he had to like hold me on the stool. I wanted to just get right back up and go back and fight again. Like I didn't want to stop. Like there's been times I've been in sparring that I didn't want the bell to ring, just to go into the corner for the rest period. Like there's been times like that where I'm in a fight and it's like I was mad nervous. Like for Tomas, like when I fought Tomas, I couldn't give a shit whether the bell rang.
The flow state there, bro.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. That's the one I know for sure I was there. But it was like it's like I didn't care if the bell rang or not. I didn't care if we kept fighting after like the 12th round. I swear to God, if like Steve, I was it or anybody who was there, say came and talked to me, I wasn't breathing hard the entire time. Like I swear to God, I was like, I don't even remember ever like taking a deep breath like in that fight. It just felt like just whatever. Like I was literally like just flowing. Like it didn't feel like anything. I didn't feel like I was exerting any energy. Like when I was throwing punches, it didn't feel like it. Like if I don't stop throwing punches, I'm gonna get tired. It it didn't feel. I could have threw fucking 100 punches around. It wouldn't have mattered. That's how I felt. So I mean, maybe I did hit it a few more times other than that. But like I said, that one in particular, that one I remember, and ever since then, man, I wanted to get back to that. I just wish I could always perform like that.
So listen, man. Let me ask you a question, man. What would you say to people who, are considering boxing, or they never boxed before? For the people who were watching this that aren't necessarily fortunate enough to have their fathers in their lives like you did, and mold them, shape them. Like, what would be your words to somebody who never boxed before, and how boxing could help them?
My endorsement for boxing would be it gives you the opportunity to this is the bad but good part to have a legal means of destruction.
Well, let's rewind.
But that's the good part.
Let's rewind. How about the person who doesn't want to fight? Like they don't want to hurt nobody.
Well, I was gonna go to that too. Yeah, I was gonna say that too. It's like
you have people like that too, that they just don't want to hit people. Like they're like, I don't want to hit them. Like no, that's mean.
I would say I'm like that, but I get too much satisfaction from it, so no, I can't. I can't say that that's me.
You're an interesting human, because when I watch you spar, it's like weird to me, because it's like you're nice, but then at the same time you kind of have a mean streak to you. But it's like
you're like dirty.
It's like an interesting dynamic when you get in the ring and spar, because it's like you could fight, or even when you fight, you could fight. You are willing to hurt a guy, but then you hold back a little bit. But then at the same time, you're kind of taunting the guy the whole entire boxing.
It's like
you have like a very interesting approach to sparring, especially. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of like a spiteful, like I'm gonna get even somehow, like in a menacing type way. But I'm still nice to you about it, and it's like, I treat you with respect.
Like the way you laugh at guys when they punch at you and stuff is like disrespectful, semi-disrespectful. But it's like at the same time, I know you're just getting yourself in the groove. I know that's how you get in your groove.
Like I don't get mad. I mean, it's like if I'm sparring and I'm having a rough sparring session, like I don't really get angry at the guy. You know what I'm saying? It's just this is what we do. This is what we got to do, and I got to figure out how to be better. It's the ultimate understanding of the business that we're in. I think that's where I'm at now with it. You know what I mean? And I think that's where my thing is. Like I enjoy, the hand-to-hand aspect of it. I enjoy being the best more than just being able to compete. But I enjoy that. Like there's nothing past this. Like, and I think like I mean, I guess we can shoot each other, but we ain't what we into. But we're fighting already. You know what I mean? And if we could do it in a respectful manner, that's just gonna make me respect the guy even more after it's over. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm gonna let you feel it while we in here. That kind of thing. I'm gonna make sure that you know that I'm better, if I can. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. So, but it's not an angry like I hate this motherfucker type shit. You know what I mean?
This is off topic. This is off topic. But have you ever been in a situation where you kind of let a guy get the better of you because maybe I don't know. There's just a
Hmm.
like maybe you just didn't want to like get the better of him for whatever reason. Like, have you ever done
I,
that? Because if
I
anybody
think I have.
like you might have been in the ring, like I'm gonna let this guy get this off on me, even though I know if I dig deep, I could whoop his ass.
Oh, oh yeah, no, no, no. I definitely did that. I did that in an actual fight, so I know I did that. I did that dumb shit in a
Now,
fight before. So
now explain to me where the hell, why, like, what would possess you to do that? like, let me hear that.
that's still stupid. It was stupid. The more I think about it, it's so stupid. But but I mean, because it's like sometimes it's not about him or that person. It's
Like, did
about
you not want to hurt
teaching
his feelings?
somebody else a
Did
lesson.
you not want to hurt
No,
his
no, no,
feelings?
no, no.
Like, it
Honestly,
might hurt his feelings if I whoop his ass. Let me let him whoop
nah,
my ass.
nah. Honestly, it's never about their feelings. It's never about any of that. It's not even 100% about their well-being all the time. I know that sounds so bad. It's more about, for me, it's like it could be about a lesson. It could be about a lesson, and it might not be for anybody that's in the ring. It might just be for people that are outside the ring. Maybe they need to learn something. You know what I mean? Maybe they got to feel this. Maybe they got to understand this. And that was my way of thinking when I did what I did, and if I did something stupid like that, which I have done, and it's like the only person that's paying for it though is me. So am I teaching really anybody else a lesson? Yeah, they'll be disappointed, but they're not going to be as disappointed as I am when I look back on it. You
As
know what I
Steve
mean?
said, Eddie spars like it's a video game. He has so much fun keeping the score competitive, whether rather than blowing the guy out.
You know what? I've never thought of it like that, but that is probably as accurate a description of it as I can think of. Because it's like when I'm in there, like for example, like I'll be in there sparring somebody and I know I can just do whatever I want, and it's like you know what? It's more fun. More fun with competition, right? Like even if I was like he was there when I went to the JOs and we was playing Tekken 2, right? And I was wiping everybody out in that shit because I was so good at it, right? And it was like I started to like kind of pull back a little bit and let people get in the game because then it was more fun seeing them get excited, like, oh, I think I'm gonna win, and then I would just like do a 10-hit combo or some shit and get them out of there. And then it was like, yeah, yeah, get out. You ain't gonna win. And then the one dude got so mad. He's like, yo, man, why don't you just let somebody else play? I'm like, I mean, I swear to God, when you beat somebody ass so that mean when you beat everybody ass so bad that many times, and somebody say, "Man, why don't you just let somebody else play?" It's just funny.
That's how
No,
this play fight night with y'all.
yo, fuck you, man. But that's cool because if I was on my Tekken 2 like back in the day, wasn't nobody fucking with me on that shit. I could have been online. I'd have been like many time world champ on that shit, no doubt. But um, but in reality, it's like when I spar people, you know what I mean. That's why I can spar guys who are heavyweights. I can spar guys who are lightweights. You know what I mean? Because I don't I don't really get satisfaction necessarily just dominating necessarily like that all the time. Now, of course, in a fight when it's all the marbles on the line and shit, yeah. But a sparring session, it's like I like to challenge myself, see if I can do different stuff. You know what I mean? Like try to go southpaw the whole time or some shit would be kind of fun or interesting to do. It just makes you, and then it can make you better in the future. You know what I mean? In the long run. So, or if I'm fighting a lighter weight dude and he's like fast, I'll try to outspeed him. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
But you
You
know
know?
what?
So
That's really is how you get better when you see these guys trying to knock each other out and sparring,
yeah,
and
that's
you
crazy.
know, or and nowadays in this era, you have guys that are completely levels above the guy they're sparring, and they're still knocking them out. And it's like, dude, you clearly can see that the guy that you're sparring is not on your level. Why are you going that hard on this particular guy?
Some
You
people don't know how. You know
know,
what I mean? Some people don't know how not to.
that is the like to me that is like so corny. Like to me, you just corny for that. Like when I see people doing that, even if I know they could fight, but they acting like that, I lose respect for them immediately. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
you were lame for that because you could be working on things to improve your skills with that kind of competition as opposed to trying to hurt a guy. You can hurt him already. What are you proving?
That's what I do. But you know what? When you young, I've had that. I remember there was a guy that I fought in the amateurs like 4 times, and and he beat me like 3 out of 4 times, right? And when I got a chance to spar with him later, when we both started turning, when we was about to turn pro, or I turned pro, we both turned pro. And I sparred with him in the gym. I dropped him like a couple times, and I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember my dad looked at me like, what the fuck you doing, bro? Like, why are you doing all that extra shit? You don't gotta try to. What are you doing? Why are you trying to hurt him? Why are you,
That's different though. He beat you
No,
3 out of 4 fights. If somebody beat me 3 out of 4 fights and I got the opportunity to drop him, I'm going to drop him.
and I did, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. But then, and I dropped him twice in sparring, bro. Like we were
That's
sparring,
different, bro. You had to
but
do that.
nah, it is to a degree.
I'm
But
talking
when
about
you,
like if I put you in the ring with, somebody who doesn't have any competitive experience or very limited.
yeah, okay, well,
That's
but even
cool. But if
but even,
but if you fight me and you beat me and then I catch you in the gym a month later and I
yeah.
drop you, yo, you beat me last month. What you thought was gonna happen today when I got in the ring with you? I was gonna let you beat my ass again. I'm gonna try.
But no, but what I'm saying is, in that scenario, first of all, it's just sparring. That's another thing too. The others was other things were fight.
Jim
Yeah,
North.
how the fuck did he come right with that shit right off the rip?
Jim Northey. Shout out to Jim Northey. We gotta find
But
you and you whoop Eddie's ass 3 out of 4 fights.
you know what's funny?
Jim
You know what's
Northey.
funny? He's cool. He was real cool, especially when we start sparring in the gym. Now he was actually a real good dude. Before I didn't know him like that. All I knew is I fought him and I always had like hard fights with him. So I'm like, ah, shit, this dude again. But when I met him in the gym, and then at that point I started really ascending. So it changed. So I saw him in the gym. I was like, oh, I'm gonna show these motherfuckers. And but once you get to a point where you're there already, you know what I'm saying, and you know you're there, you could downshift that shit,
Let
and
me
that shows more control.
let me answer this question. Or you get both answers. Should it be agreed between the two fighters how hard the sparring should be, or should sparring just be all out fight with headgear? I think it all depends on the situation. If you're boxing a person that you're far more experienced than, I think it's your duty to hold back. I think any good coach would tell you to hold back if you know you're far superior to the guy that you're boxing. It's like an unwritten rule, right? Like I'm gonna help
Hmm.
guys that are not as good as me get better if I'm
Hmm.
a better fighter in the ring. Now, and it also depends when, right? Like if Eddie's getting ready for a fight in
Yeah.
2 weeks, I'm not looking for sparring that Eddie has to hold back on, right? We're looking for the competitive work where Eddie can work and unleash.
Right.
He has to unleash so he can do it in a fight, right? So
Right.
I think it just depends on where we're at in the camp. Who are we boxing?
Hmm.
If you're even in the camp now, let's just say me and Eddie decide to spar each other, right? Then we can have like a slight agreement before, like, yo, bro, don't try to kill me. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Eddie knows, and I know, like, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna be cool. Eddie gonna whoop my ass, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be like, yo,
Cut it out.
nah, you know what I mean? But you get what I'm
Nah.
saying, right? Like
Yeah.
there is negotiations with fighters at times. Like, yo, bro,
Yeah.
I'm just getting back in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that does
Yeah.
happen. You know what I mean? What do you think, Eddie?
No, 100%. You know, recently when I was going up there with Bash up to New York, still the sparring gets elevated, but when we went in with a different mentality, it's like not to try to just unload and bang the guy out. Pause. It was more like learning sparring. Like, don't get me wrong, we still throwing punches. Like you get hit, you get hit. You throwing multiple combinations at your ass too, especially with Igor. But like when they're with Vlad and Igor, both of them, we're working on shit too, though. You know what I mean? And then Bashir got this way of like instigating this shit to where he like trying to turn one of them up to 100, and I'm sitting in there in like second gear, and I'm just like flowing, letting shots go by me and shit. And Bashir not getting them mad, but getting them to try to turn them up, throw more punches, do this, do that. And he do it. He look at me and laugh and shit. I'm like, yeah, I see what you're trying to do, motherfucker. You trying to get these motherfuckers to turn this shit up to 1,000 on me, and it's just funny. But I think you should have an understanding of what it is that you're doing, because like I'm in there sparring with those guys 10, 12 rounds. We can't be in there trying to kill each other for that much time. It's like a fight. It's like a fight before the fight. And let me tell you how many times you see dudes walking down the street stumbling that were fighters, and they say, "Oh, he had a whole lot of fights, a whole lot of tough fights." I'm like, yeah, but what about them sparring sessions, nigga? Like, wow, how many sparring sessions did he have for that one fight that he was doing the same shit in the gym? And you look at them and they walking around stumbling, and it's like, bro, it ain't just about putting your hands up. It's also about longevity and understanding when it is you need to have those sessions versus when you don't. Man, it only
Honestly,
takes one. It only
honestly,
takes one.
honestly, unless there's bad blood between the fighters or the fighters having a bad day and maybe
Oh
he
yeah,
lost his cool. Every time
that
I've
happens.
been in professional situations with professional fighters, every time I've always seen, for the most part, the professionals conduct themselves like professionals. You know,
Yeah.
they start the rounds off at a nice pace. They control the pace. They control their punches, and even
Yeah.
though punches are still harder than most people, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm. Of
control there. You know what I mean? And
course.
that's when you know you're dealing with professionals in reality. When you go into like a real seasoned professional gym and you see real seasoned professional fighters boxing, you will
Mm-hmm.
see that professionalism for the most part. Now, don't get me wrong. Once a fighter's in fight mode and you know you're in that mode where he's peaking, if you get in the ring with him and you're not prepared, yeah, you know you might get knocked out. I mean, I've seen that
Yeah.
happen too. You know, for the most part, professionals are professionals, and you'll see a huge difference when professionals spar versus amateur boxers who are just starting out sparring. You'll see a huge difference in the way they approach the sparring. You know what I mean? And that's what takes experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fact, man. Sparring is definitely. I agree with that. I
Mm.
agree with that too. But see, look. That's because it's another professional fighter talking. That's why. If you got a new guy, you, there's there are some. I'm not gonna say no names, and I'm pretty sure you know some of these guys too. That no matter who it is they get in with, they trying to bang them out. Pause. They trying to knock their heads off, trying to put him on the mat. And it's like if you got a guy in there that ain't got no pro fights, shit, he barely got any amateur fights, and you out there trying to knock him out, and you a pro. Come on, man.
No, but
You know what I mean? That's
typically those pros, those are the ones like the reputation it'll go through the boxing
yeah.
real quick. Like, yo, man, this
Yeah.
guy he don't know how to
Don't
work.
work with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't work with him. He don't know how to work,
Yeah.
and then those guys
Yeah.
typically get a bad rap, and they end up ruining their own careers. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
karma comes back around to them real quick. I know a few myself here in this area. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna say no names, but
Yeah.
again,
Leave
that's
that out.
but yeah, but there is, like I said, there's always bad apples, right? There's always those,
Oh yeah.
and the same thing with the coaches, right? You got these retarded coaches that are,
Bruh.
you know, encouraging that kind of behavior, and you're just like, every time you see that, you're just like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, it's like it just shows you the inexperience, and those guys, they think they're doing something and they're just being laughed at. They're in our group chat
Mm.
with me, Steve, and we're just laughing at guys like that. You know what I mean? You know, and they think they're doing something. So, you
Yeah.
know, boxing's a funny sport like that, man. I don't know how we got sidetracked. We were supposed to talk about all the positives and how boxing is the greatest thing in the world for the last episode of No Days Off November. But you know, we always end up getting sidetracked and talking real stuff. But yeah, man, you know, boxing is definitely a sport where you want to control your aggression. You know what I mean? You want to control that.
Well, that's what makes it the sweet science partially too. Is being able to control, the madness that we have going on in the ring. If you think about it, you know what I mean. You need to control it. That's where like certain skills. That is a skill in itself. You know how many times I've heard dudes say, man, if I got punched in the face, man, I'd flip out. I'm like, nah, because by the time you get enough skill and understanding to be in there sparring, you know not to flip out. You know not to try to grab a knife that you don't have to go after somebody. You know what I mean? It's all about control. It's like they say true masculinity is being able to control the madness that we have, but being capable of doing it. You know what I mean? That's really what shows a real masculine man, a real strong masculine man is to be able to be capable of killing somebody, but under control enough not to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
That's boxing, man. That's
that's
boxing.
boxing right there. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, man, this is the last episode of No Days Off November. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching this later, I hope that this series brought you guys some value. You know what I mean? We got on here every single day and try to provide some sort of value within the last 30 days. Tomorrow is December 1st. I'm gonna feel weird not going live tomorrow, Eddie. I'm gonna feel weird. I'm so used to going live every day now. It's became like a habit, right? But I don't want to say that I'm gonna come live every day or get on here live every single day if for whatever reason I can't. So I committed to No Days Off November. We'll still be getting live here, you know what I mean, throughout the month of
What's
December.
gonna happen?
I'm sure we'll figure out more ways to get on here. But if I miss a day, guys, you know what I'm saying? It ain't No Days Off November. You can't kill me, man. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. And also, guys, don't forget, man, I still got the 90% sale for a little bit longer, Eddie. Eddie, I'm still giving you guys an opportunity to get the 90. I know you told me yesterday.
Cyber Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, huh?
You told me yesterday, and after Cyber Monday, cut it, bro.
Yeah.
I know that's what you told me, but people were messaging
Don't
me.
Don't make them hate me.
Hey, I know, but listen, that's because that's what you told me. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm gonna leave it just a little bit longer. The moment I see that the sales slow down, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it. So for people who are watching this, man, I hope you guys take advantage of it. You get on a coaching call. And if you guys are lucky, I even bring Eddie on a coaching call, man. If you guys are lucky, man, I mean, we could go ahead and evaluate where you are.
Would that be considered lucky? You gotta hear my voice again.
You know what's crazy, Eddie? This is what's crazy about boxing, right? And I love telling people this. Imagine if this was basketball, the NBA, and somebody said, you know, we're gonna get you that professional NBA coach to get on a coaching call with you and explain to you how you can improve your basketball and explain to you, what do you think that would cost if it was the NBA?
First, yeah, they got shit like that out right now.
I know.
You would not want
to. A lot of money for your basketball coach. We're not going to talk about how much you spend on basketball coaching, but it's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, this is my point. You, Eddie, the fact that you just downgraded yourself when I said that I might bring you on a coaching call. You are a professional prize fighter, ranked #1 in the world. You fought for the title. That's the NBA of boxing.
Oh yeah, that is.
That's the NBA of boxing. You know what I'm trying to say? So
that's true.
You know, I've been world champions. I've been in world title corners. That's the NBA of boxing. I don't care if it's star level, or even if you're on the bench, right? That is the NBA of boxing. So
it is.
You have to understand that if you love the sport of boxing, this is the NBA right here.
And we're right, National Boxing Association, damn it.
To that. And I'm going to continue to remind people of that, because if this was any other sport.
Oh, yeah.
We got Steve Upshur in the freaking chat. He fought Andre Berto.
Yeah.
Andre Berto fought Floyd Mayweather. Andre Berto was a world champion. He fought Luis Collazo. He's in the freaking
world champion
hanging out. Now imagine if you had LeBron James and then some other Dwight Howard and stuff like that. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Just there.
Different sport.
Yeah.
It is marketed differently. We need to take boxing and elevate it.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the ambassador to the sport and elevate how people view guys like yourself, guys like Steve Upshur. I don't give a shit if you never won a world title. You fought at the highest level of boxing.
The highest level, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? And not many people could get past the novice level of boxing.
Shit. Most people don't even box. How about that?
Not many people can get to 10 amateur fights, man.
That's a fact.
win a Golden Glove, a novice Golden Glove. You see what I'm trying to say?
Look,
So,
there's people that have competed once, literally had one fight, and bragging about it to their kids. So imagine, you know what I mean?
it needs to be viewed differently. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna be one of the ambassadors for the sport.
I'll help.
You know what I'm saying? You need to be an ambassador. People need to view boxing differently because boxing saves lives. It changes lives. You know what I mean? It teaches you self-defense. It teaches you discipline. You know what I mean? It teaches you how to get through tough situations. And is one of the most respected sports by every other sport. Matter of fact, talking about basketball players, freaking Dwight Howard followed me on Instagram first. And I didn't know who he was because I don't watch basketball like that. Remember, I hit you up, Eddie. I'm like, yo, who is this? You know this guy? You're like, Dwight Howard, that's my favorite player. I'm like, yo.
How about that? But yeah.
You know, I got to hype it up, Eddie. Come on. You know what I'm saying?
No. I'm gonna stop fucking around.
Dwight's my guy, though. Now
I do like Dwight. I did like Dwight.
I didn't know who he was. No disrespect to Dwight.
No.
He actually said, yo, he actually said, I'm a fan of your YouTube channel.
You see what I'm talking about?
He was like, he said, I do martial arts. I'm like, that's what's up, blah, blah, blah. He was in Japan at the time. Then he actually came over to Philly. He was playing ball. And then, you know what I'm saying? Now he went back to, you know, I guess he's in ATL or wherever he's at. But making a long story short, big shout out to Dwight Howard. I got nothing but respect for him. But my point is, basketball players are watching guys like yourself, guys like myself, watching my YouTube channel. And these are the guys that are making the millions of dollars. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, millions. Like you look at Dwight Howard's one, like you say, do martial arts. Dame Lillard loves boxing. He boxes all the time in the gym. They got commercials and all kind of shit. But Dame Lillard, I'm a fan. I like Dame Lillard. His game is solid. He can play.
Okay, and he's probably a fan of your fights.
I mean, I don't know. He might not really know much about me because, you know, my generation. No, I'm no. I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying, you know, I ain't been out there recently, so you know what I mean.
Hey man, I wasn't out there. Sugar Ray Robinson wasn't out there recently, and I know who he is.
That's a fact. I ain't going. You know what? You're right, Ant.
Okay. You don't know what guys know, man. If guys really love the sport, they do their homework. You know what I'm saying? So
that's true. I mean, look. When I watch, like I watch him play, I can respect his game. But my favorite player to watch all the time was T-Mac. That was my dude. And of course, you know, Jordan and Kobe and all them, but T-Mac was my guy. That dude, man, that was like following his career heavy. From Toronto to Orlando to Houston. Even after that, I was like rooting for him to come back, but he just couldn't get healthy all the way. So, but yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about basketball. It's a boxing.
No.
It's
just I always like to bring that comparison up because if this was the NFL or if this was NBA, you know, things get looked at different. Yeah. It's literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing. It's just that boxing isn't marketed the same way. You know what I'm trying to say? But it's really, you have to be that good to accomplish what you have accomplished as a professional fighter. But anyway, guys, boxing is hands down one of the best things that ever happened to my life. You know what I mean? For me, being an inner city kid, you know what I mean, getting into trouble, you know what I mean, at a very young age, I found boxing. Boxing gave me some sort of an identity. It actually taught me how to defend myself because I thought I could fight and I really couldn't. And I found that shit out real quick in a boxing gym that I really couldn't fight. And it took me a while to actually get good enough to compete. I got a chance to compete. I got a chance to challenge myself. And even though I never accomplished anything in boxing the way I wanted to, I accomplished it in other ways. I was able to pay it forward, teach hundreds of people the craft of boxing, thousands of people on the internet the craft of boxing. I got a chance to work with some of the best boxers in the world, being some of the highest status places in boxing, as far as working world title corners and working with UFC fighters and Bellator fighters and guys like yourself, Eddie, and helping amateurs achieve national tournaments and championships and even going to the Olympic trials. So I got an opportunity to do a lot in boxing, even though I didn't know it would happen as a form of a coach. And now I'm on here educating people with a guy like yourself, whether it's our lives, whether it's our courses, whether it's just a regular YouTube instructional. It literally gave me a career. So, and it gave you a career. So boxing has far greater than any of my expectations in the long run of how far we can go with this. And we're really just getting started, Eddie. Honestly, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. You know what I'm saying?
True shit. True shit. That's right.
All right, guys. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody who came, man. Today it's the last episode of No Days Off November. Don't know when I'll be getting on here live again, but make sure you hit the bell notification so you can be alerted whenever we do anything. You know what I mean? And also go to the website, CoachAnthonyBoxing.com. You still got time for that sale. Peace. What's going on, guys? Your boy, Coach Anthony. Of course, we got none other than Fast Eddie Chambers. And we just wanted to go ahead and remind you, I am offering every single course on my website that we already dropped up to date, which is 15 courses. And actually, I'm going to give you guys an extra course that we just made named Drillers Make Killers that isn't even released to the public yet. If you go ahead and grab the Master Boxing Bundle at 90% off, Eddie, 90% off. And not only that, I'm going to give you guys a free coaching call so we can go ahead and discuss what your personal goals are, what you're trying to accomplish through boxing, and how I can help you further in the future. Over the years, I've made courses like Build You From the Ground Up 1.0, Build You From the Ground Up 2.0, Footwork Drills, Defensive Principles 101, How to Set Traps and Counterpunch, Angles and How to Create Them, 50 combos to the head, 50 combos to the body, 50 head-body combinations, how to box on the inside, how to box from the outside, how to box the opposite stance, which is basically orthodox versus southpaw, the complete Philly shell system, how to shadow box, heavy bag conditioning drills, and of course, like I mentioned before, the last course that isn't even released yet, Drillers Make Killers. Guys, this is a steal. I've sold these courses at $300 a pop, and many have purchased them in the past. And now you guys can get all of them at one time for 90% off with a coaching call. Guys, this is an opportunity. Do not miss it. Go ahead. Go to the website. Don't hesitate. You've been watching us on YouTube for years. We're here to help you. We want to take your boxing to the next level. Let's go.